Florida dodged one huge meth-covered bullet. And that meth-covered bullet is, you guessed it, Andrew Gillum, the former mayor of Tallahassee, I think. So he almost beat out Ron DeSantis in Florida for governor. He barely won. Thankfully, DeSantis won. Thankfully. And then Andrew Gillum, of course, you know what happened to him. You can do the research on that and find out all the meth parties he had with a male prostitute. I'm not judging here, but I am. So now we have this. Gillum faces 21-count federal indictment for campaign finance-related fraud. And I find that funny that the liberal judiciary is actually going after Andrew Gillum, because he was actually going to come back from that loss in Florida. I think it was 2018, and he didn't, because he got into a tiff with some meth and a male prostitute. Again, you can find those pictures all over the internet. So remember when he was the 2018 Florida Democrat gubernatorial nominee? He barely lost to DeSantis despite predictions of victory. Gillum conceded, then unconceded, and then finally conceded during a recount, and then hinted at a run for Democratic presidential nomination. That was before Gillum got caught up in a crystal meth overdose scandal, but after he had already been fingered for a federal fraud probe. Well, when the shoe finally dropped on the other scandal this morning, Gillum surrendered to the feds as they indicted him for 21 counts of illegal activity connected to his campaign. Say the exact charges are unclear, and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Florida would neither confirm nor deny details about the criminal case against Gillum. In a written statement to NBC News, Gillum acknowledged the case, but said it's politically motivated without offering specifics. Right. Politically motivated. Okay. Two sources with whom Gillum spoke on Tuesday told NBC News that he began phoning friends frantically about the criminal case. Like he didn't know this was going to happen. Neither would speak on the record because they weren't authorized to speak on his behalf. They said he is scheduled to meet with prosecutors at 10 a.m. and his indictment could be unsealed at 1 p.m. Eastern time, which is now. He's down. He's sad. He feels beat up. Well, yeah. First, where's the camera? Don't do crystal meth. Second, don't do crystal meth with the male prostitute while you're married to a woman. You know, I'm not judging here, but I am. And third, don't violate campaign finance laws. I mean, that's freaking really goddamn easy. This is Andrew Gillum we're talking about. The indictment alleges that between 2016 and 2019, defendants Gillum and Letman Hicks, hyphenated names, conspired to commit wire fraud by unlawfully soliciting and obtaining funds from various entities and individuals through false and fraudulent promises and representations that the funds would be used for a legitimate purpose. The indictment further alleges the defendants used third parties to divert a portion of those funds into a company owned by Letman Hicks, who then fraudulently provided the funds, disguised as payroll payments, to Gillum for his personal use. Both defendants are charged with 19 counts of wire fraud. Gillum is also charged with making false statements to agents of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Right. Like the FBI never lies to anyone, and they never face any problems. I feel sorry for, I guess, Gillum on that point, but not really, because let's face it, you can get anybody to indict a ham sandwich, and I guess the evidence was beyond the preponderance of any sort of evidence to suggest that he may be guilty of something. He could face 20 years in jail for wire fraud and 5 for lying to investigators. Presumably, though, he'd be looking at a smaller sentence at a first-time offender, but that would still put him behind bars for a significant amount of time. Bear in mind that the existence of federal probe into Gillum had been well known by Democrats which ran him as a candidate for governor. Imagine that. I suspect that has a lot to do with race. And they're like, well, we need to put this guy up against DeSantis because he's black. You know, diversity points, I guess. And that's exactly, in my opinion, what happened. And they couldn't just pull him and put another white guy in there and the optics would look frickin' terrible, of course. Por supuesto. The FBI may have tried to entice Mayor Andrew Gillum through one of its close friends to see a Broadway show, catch a Mets game, and stay at a hotel in New York City as part of its investigation into alleged public corruption in Tallahassee. Gillum, who had room reservations elsewhere, won't say if he stayed at or visited the Millennium Hotel in downtown Manhattan, where an FBI agent posing as a developer had arranged rooms for him and others. He also won't say if he attended the Broadway blockbuster Hamilton or went to the baseball game. Gillum's response to the Tallahassee Democrat on the trip have evolved over the past week. Acting on information from sources close to the investigation, Democrat asked Gillum on August 19th about the Hamilton show and the Mets game, and specifically who paid for the tickets. I have no knowledge of that, Gillum said. Gillum since has refused to give a yes or no answer on whether he took part in any of the outings, claiming that his time spent with the undercover FBI agents was personal. Oh, I bet it was, Mr. Gillum. I bet it was. Gillum's political career was over by the time the crystal meth overdose scandal, of course. This indictment won't start a comeback effort. However, it's liable to raise some questions about why Florida Democrats didn't stop Gillum from advancing to the general election in 2018, especially to the extent that these fraudulent activities, allegedly, took place in the gubernatorial campaign. It certainly won't do anything for the party's credibility in 2022. And that is, and it will certainly, actually, it won't certainly hurt DeSantis in his cycle either, which makes his 2024 bid all the more likely, which means a 2024 bid for president. And of course, DeSantis stated that he's not, has no intention right now because he's going for re-election of governor of Florida this year. And you see, this aged well. Got Matt Gaetz, who is a congressman for the Florida's first district up in northern Florida. Andrew Gillum says, there's only one criminal between two of us. No, Gillum. You're the alleged criminal here, there, tough guy. Matt Gaetz, guess what? He's going to get it reelected. And he's still in power in the Congress. So he's got that over you. He doesn't have any charges pending against him that I know of. DeSantis doesn't have any charges against him that I know of. So the only criminal I see here is Democrat former mayor Andrew Gillum. And who knows if he's smoking meth right now. Allegedly, of course. Because he did, possibly, allegedly in the past, with a male prostitute. While Andrew Gillum was, yes, you guessed it, married. But don't all let that stop the Democrats from trying to push this guy ahead to another post in government because, you know, one man's male prostitute loving, crystal meth loving fiend out there is your next potential congressman, governor, or even president.